All right, this session is being recorded and I am not recording the students. If you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask a question. Let's get started with question 1. What is the equation? We can see it's a circle, and this circle has a constant radius, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Maybe I can make a page a bit bigger. Can I? Okay, so it's a circle with constant radius. Hopefully you can see that this radius is equal to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Radius 4, this is your equation of a circle. Centered at the origin, radius 4, that's it. Just to review, this is a circle and this is also a circle. But how to grab this circle? For example, I would like to, just a quick reminder of how to grab this circle. It's 8, you go 8 units up. This is, sorry, I mean to say y-axis, and I mean to say x-axis. You go 8 units up, then the center of the circle is halfway in between, at 4. And the radius is half of this number. Radius is 4. So it will look something like that. Okay, silence means no questions, which means I will be moving on. I will take your silence by default that you understand everything. And if you have a question, just please interrupt me. Question 2. It's a circle, and we see the circle, the center of the circle has to be somewhere on the x-axis. So let me find it actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. So this is at -2. When the center is an x-axis, I have to think about cosine theta. Since if the circle is flipped on the left or on the negative part of the x-axis, it has to be for sure minus in front. And since this value is -4, well, that's what it is, -4 cosine theta. Do we have this? Yes, we do. D is the answer here. I also already posted all of the answer here on Google Classroom, so you can just go ahead and check, or you can watch the video. I'm talking about students who did not join the session today.
Miss, I have a question. I didn't hear when you said, how would you know if you use cosine or sine?
Thank you for the question. If the center of the circle is on the y-axis, for example, if this is the circle, this will be sine. And my red circle was on the x-axis, that's cosine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, no questions. I am going to the next question then. Question 3, what's the equation? We did discuss this type of questions before. We can clearly see that this line happens at a constant angle. So this is the angle at which the line is going. The angle is 135 degrees. If you wish, you can convert it to radians. This is pi over 2. I'm going to do pi over 2 plus half of pi over 2 plus pi over 4. Common denominator is 4. 3 pi over 4 plus, no, I messed up. 2 pi over 4 plus pi over 4 will be 3 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4 is the answer. Do we have it? You have 3 pi over 4? No, we don't. What can I do if I don't have 3 pi over 4? What else can I try to answer the question?
You go in the negative direction, miss?
Yep, thank you very much. Yep, I'll go in the negative direction. That's perfect. That's exactly what I should do. Thank you again. I will go negative pi, and I will go negative pi over 4 minus pi over 4. Common denominator is 4 minus pi over 4 minus 4 pi over 4. Minus 4 pi over 4 minus pi over 4 gives me answer -5 pi over 4, which is really the same answer as 3 pi over 4. And here you go, we have this answer. That's B. summary, whenever you have a straight line, it will be theta equal the angle. For example, we had very similar question. We had this line a couple weeks ago. And this line is theta equal, can anyone tell me what's the angle?
45.
Yep, thank you very much. 45 or pi over 4. Thank you. All right, I'm moving on then. Number 4, the graph of r equals 3 minus 5 cosine theta is a limit-sum with inner loop. What's the diameter of the outer and inner loops? Okay, so first thing which we need to notice, let's look at this equation. We know that this equation, let me write a general formula, and maybe you can put this somewhere on a cheat sheet if that will help you. Let's call it a minus b cosine theta. We know this is general formula for 3 different graphs, for limit-sum with inner loop, cardioid, and for dimpled limit-sum. What's the difference? It says limit-sum with inner loop. Can anyone tell me what numbers I have to look at to identify that it's limit-sum with inner loop? So if b more than a, look at that. This is 5 and this is 3. So if this number, let's call it, I think you should do it the other way. I think you should do it b minus a. Yeah, let's do it another way. Let's write it as b minus a cosine theta. I think this is more general form, but it doesn't really matter what letters you use. And then we will say this will stand for a and this will stand for b. If a more than b, you get limit-sum with loop, with inner loop. I don't have enough space, so I'll just write loop. If a equal b, what do you get? Can anyone tell me what do you get if these numbers are equal? It's my favorite shape, it's cardioid. And if the inequality is the other way, if a is less than b, you get dimpled limit-sum. And Ralph called it an apple, which I like. Give me 1 second, my phone is ringing, 1 second. Okay, and let's quickly sketch the graph of this. Cosine, we said cosine, which is applicable for all circles, limit-sums, cardioid, dimpled limit-sums. It will be on the x-axis. And the outer loop will be 5 plus 3. And I'm going to the left because it's negative over here. So the outer loop is here. Then if you do 5 minus 3, which will be at negative 2. Negative 2 equals 5 minus 3. Or with negative, of course. And then I'll change the color. 3 units here, 3 units down. That's how it will look like. Just a quick reminder of the graph. All right, so the outer loop seemed to be 8 and the inner loop is 2. We're choosing this answer. And question 5 is very similar to question 4. What kind of graph will you get? R equal 2 plus cosine theta, which looks like very similar to this graph. So just look at this number at A, it's clearly more than number B. And if A more than B, It's limmason with inner loop. We check A. And the next one, question 6, will be for Amanda. What kind of graph will this produce? 6 plus 2 cosine theta. I can rewrite it so you can see the number. 6 plus 2 cosine theta. What graph will this produce?
Limicon with loop.
Would it be a loop? So let's see. Look at this equation, right? This is what's given. And look at these 3 rules. We call this A, we call this B, and we see that A in this case.
Oh, okay. A dimpled, yeah.
Limmason. That's called limmason. This you will read it as C, limmason. I actually don't know what. I think it's French because whenever you spell it in the textbook, this C will be written as this one. I don't know how to spell it, how to pronounce it, but I think it's limmason. So this will be dimpled limmason. And I don't know if I will draw it maybe somewhere here. How does the dimpled limmason look like? And since it's cosine, it will be located on a positive side of x-axis. We do 6 plus 2, 8. So maybe 8 is somewhere here. 8 is 6 plus 2. 2 minus 6 is negative 4, so I'll go 4 to the other side. That's 2 minus 6. Then 6 units up, 6 units down. And imagine a shape of an apple. My apple is a bit, don't know what kind of an apple is that. It's a bit stretched. But it should be dimple over here, and the rest is an apple. Okay, dimpled limmason it is. I will scroll down and see which choice is that. I think it's B. I think it's choice B. Question 6. Choice B. Oops, let me clear everything. That's the answer. Nope. That's the answer for 6. And question 7, what kind of the graph? I'm not going to draw this, but I'm going to ask Lulia to answer what graph will be produced by the equation 2 plus 2 cosine theta.
Did you say Lulia or
Yeah, I said Lulia.
cardio, right?
Yep, cardioid. Thank you so much. It is cardioid. Perfect. Thank you. What we're looking for is these numbers are the same. It will be shape of a heart called cardioid. All right, let me pause for a bit. We're already in question 7. How are we doing? Questions, concerns, suggestions? All right, silence means you get everything. It means 100% will receive everyone on the test. That's all I want. I'm not asking for more than that. What's the difference between polar graphs of 2 plus 6 cosine theta and 2 minus 6 cosine theta? Let me ask Alina, can you please try to attempt to answer this question? What do you think? 2 plus 6 cosine and 2 minus 6 cosine, what's the difference?
I'm guessing one will be a limmason with a loop and the other a dimpled limmason.
All right, thank you so much. How about Alicia? What do you think?
Maybe they're on facing different sides.
Good, thank you so much. Thank you, let's analyze it now. All right, we see 2 and 6 in both sides, right? So we know the relationship between A and B is the same. We know clearly that if this called B and if this will be A, we know for both the absolute value of A will be more than absolute value of B, which means shape is the same. If shape is the same, what could be different? So they are not the same because there's 1 minus and 1 plus. One on x-axis, one on y-axis, not an option because they both have cosine. And cosine is a symbol for x-axis. All right, both are on y-axis for sure now, because they have to be an x. They will be on x, but they will be facing different directions because of plus and minus. They both will be limosons with inner loops, but they will be facing different directions. Okay, next question. 9. What is the graph? 2 plus 3 sine theta. Remember that we discussed b plus a sine theta. I want to go over it one more time. I know we discussed this already, but if a is more than b, it's limason with inner loop. Maybe I can do it as a picture, not as the word, but maybe the picture means more. So it will look like that. If a equal b, it's a heart. And if a is less than b, it will be dimpled limason, it's an apple. Well, my apple was pretty bad. Let me try another apple. Yeah, this apple is, whatever. I don't know if it's easier for you to memorize. Heart, apple, don't know. Can anyone come up with alternate name than limason with inner loop? Okay, then.
Pretzel.
Oh, pretzel. Good one. How to spell it? Is it C? Spelled S? No? How to spell pretzel?
Z, and then I don't know if it's Ellie or Yo.
Z E L?
Yeah.
I like that. I like pretzel. I really like it. So we have pretzel. If A is more than B, we have a heart, we have an apple. All right, good. It's nice doing business with you. Now we have all these cool definitions. All right, so this one is definitely a pretzel. And the majority of it, because of the sign, has to be on the y-axis. Well, there's only one option. Call it pretzel or call it limason with inner loop. I don't care, as far as you know the graph. I'm happy. All right, I'm pausing for a bit and ask me questions, please.
For D, why is the graph facing that way instead of like flipped?
Because of the plus. We know that it's because of the plus, it has to be on the upper side on the positive side of the y-axis. In order to find the outer loop, we do 2 plus 3, and you come up with 5.
Okay, thank you.
If this would be minus, I will change the color. If this is minus, it will look like that. All right, I'll take silence as a good sign, and I will move on to question 10. The equations represent polar graph. It's called a rose curve. I really like this flower. It looks like a clover. What you need to remember that whenever you see even number, even theta, the number of petals will be doubled. I see 4 petals. I know this is already doubled if you watched the video from last week, which means for sure it has to be 2 theta. Do we have, all right, so this is the only option for 2 theta. But this is the answer. And 6 is the length of the petal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it would be, what if the other option, maybe let's say E would be R equal 6 cosine theta? Can anyone tell me what's the difference between sine and cosine? Melissa, go ahead.
What? Oh, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, what's the difference between sine and cosine? For example, my answer choices is 6 sine theta, and what if the other answer choice would be 6 cosine theta? How would you differentiate them? They will both produce this clover with 4 leaves. How would you find the difference? What's the difference between them?
So sine theta, it would just be centered on the y-axis, where cosine would be the opposite. It would be on the x-axis.
Oh, almost. We know that cosine maximizes at 0. So it will be the same 4 petals, but the position of them would be slightly different. Again, because if you remember trigonometry in the unit circle, cosine is at maximum right here. Cosine is at maximum at 0, which means that the petal will be, first petal will be there for cosine. But for sine, you know sine maximizes at 90 degrees. And if we solve in 2 theta equal 90, theta is 45, that's exactly what happened on this picture over here. That's why the petals are turned this way. So this is a graph for sine of 2 theta, and this is for cosine. That's the difference. The position of the first petal will be the difference. I'm going to clear this and move to the next question. And my next question will be a beautiful rose, a beautiful flower. Let's count how many petals does it have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, I don't know number 6. 6 and 7. When it's odd number of petals, we're just looking for, all right, 7. Which choice should I make, A or C? How about, let me ask someone. How about Sarah? Sarah N. What choice, A or C?
I would say C because the petal goes all the way up until 2.
Yep, good
That
job.
would be length.
Perfect, that's the answer. Question 12, identify the pole equation R equal 4 sine 5 theta. Rose, spiral, lemniscate, or circle. Question goes to Daniela. Question 12 is all yours.
So would that be A?
That will be a rose? Yep, perfect. It will be a rose with 5 petals. Good job, thank you. Number 13. This is equation of lemniscate. And lemniscate, I call it infinity. It's an equation of infinity. If it's cosine, we know that cosine maximizes at 0, so that's how it will look like, exactly like infinity. If you will have r squared equal 9 sine of 2 theta, just a reminder that sine maximizes at 90 degrees. And if you're going to solve 2 theta equal 90, then theta is at 45, which means it will be same equation, but take angle of 45 degrees and draw your infinity along this diagonal. It's lemniscate. Maybe you can also put this on your cheat sheet. And if you have an equation r squared equal, this is a perfect square, and the length of the petal will be root 9. That's the length of this petal. So maybe you can call it r squared cosine of 2 theta. It will always be 2 for lemniscate, and that's the graph. And if it's r squared sine of 2 theta, it's also lemniscate, but rotated by 45 degrees. You're more than welcome to put this on your cheat sheet and use it during the exam. It's not the exam, but the benchmark. It's open notes. So make your life a bit easier. Put this on your cheat sheet and use this organized notes, and you will pass it with no problem. Number 14 doesn't look like a heart. I wish it would look like a heart, but looks like more an appropriate shape. But let me ask my friend Amanda, what do you think it is? What equation could describe this beautiful shape number 14? Amanda, you here?
Sorry, my audio cut out. What did you say?
I'm asking you to please describe me the equation of shape 14, which I want to call a heart, but it doesn't really look like a heart.
If it's a heart, does that mean that it's A is equal to B?
Correct. Maybe I need to scroll down a bit for you.
So then it would be A.
Perfect, thank you. Question 15, it's 6 sine theta. Let me ask someone, how about Montse? What is question 15? What shape will that produce? Montse, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just thinking right now.
All right.
I don't believe it's a cardioid, so
You're right, it's not a cardioid.
it
That
may
is-
not be a circle, though.
It is a circle. Yep, it is a
Oh.
circle. The center of a circle is on the y-axis because of sine. So we go 6 units up. The center is halfway, which is at 3. And it's a circle.
Oh. Well, that was, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say.
That's fine. Next one, r equals 3 sine of 2 theta. All right, can anyone tell me what is that? How about Jeremy? What is 16?
Would it be C?
Would it be C? It will be, actually it will be D. It will be 4-leaf rows. I don't know if you remember from last class, if it's an even number, the number of petals will be doubled. So it will be a 4-leaf rows. Whenever it's an even number over here in front of theta, the number of leaves will be doubled. If it's an odd number, it's exactly how much is there. So it's a 4-leaf rows. Question 17. Let me count how many leaves are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. Since it's even number, the number in front of theta has to be 4. But sine or cosine? Can anyone tell me what should I choose, sine or cosine?
Cosine?
Cosine? Perfect. Why?
Because the way they're aligned.
Right. Correct. Starts at 0, and 0 is where cosine is at maximum. That's absolutely correct. Thank you so much. R equals 5 cosine theta is the answer in this case. lemniscate number 18. It's an lemniscate. And hopefully you already put this on your cheat sheet, or maybe you did not. If we're talking about r squared equal a squared cosine of 2 theta, your lemniscate looks like infinity. If it's r squared equal a squared sine of 2 theta, it is also infinity, but inclined. The angle is 45 degrees. Who is this? That's also lemniscate, but which one? Can anyone propose a solution?
I propose that it. Oh,
I'm
you,
sorry, Martha, you can go.
no, you can.
I think it's A.
Thank you. And Monset, what did you want to say?
No, I was just gonna say that it's gotta be negative, because saying that the example showed that it's going from bottom left to top right.
Yeah, you're
Or
both correct.
no.
You're both right. It will be negative, and minus 9 sine theta. If you can look closer, 1, 2, 3, you can see the length of this petal is 3, which means a squared has to be 9, and it has to be sine because it's rotated by the angle. It doesn't start at 0, and it has to be negative. So you both are correct, and A is the answer in this case. '19, the polar coordinate system based on a point called pole an array called polar axis. The polar coordinate system is based on a point called pole, and an array called polar axis. Question 20. It's a rows. Look at the even number over here. And let me ask Sarah Q, what is the answer on question 20?
It's a rose with 8 leaves.
That's correct. Thank you very much. We know if it's even numbered, it will be doubled. 8 leaves. '21, describe the curve for sine of 3 theta. How about Melissa? What's 21?
It'd just be a rose with 3 leaves.
That's correct. And 22, let me ask Monica. Who is that?
That's a dimpled lemicon.
Correct. Thank you very much. You see it's A less than B. And it's a shape of an apple. Or dimpled limbason. Call it whatever. '23, Raphael. What's 23?
Wouldn't it be a cardioid?
That's correct. Thank you. Question 24 goes to Alina.
It would be a rose with 9 leaves.
That's correct. Thank you so much. And question 25, Alicia, that's yours.
A rose with 12 leaves.
That's correct. Thank you. 26 will not be on the test, but I will still tell you what. Oops, sorry about that. 26 called spiral of Archimedes. And the equation of it is R equal to theta. But it won't be on the test, so don't stress about it. Won't be on the test. It was there and I was too lazy to take this question out of the study guide. 27, write the equation of a limison with inner loop of length 3 and outer loop of length 7, symmetric to y-axis. Symmetric to y-axis will tell me about sine right away. So let's start constructing it. It's limison with inner loop, so it will look like, let me first of all put the general formula. B, I don't know if it's plus minus, A sine theta. I know the outer loop is 7, which means A plus B has to be 7. And I know the inner loop is 3, which makes A minus B equal to 3. So what numbers can I plug in for B and A?
5 and 2.
Sounds good. Is that correct? Let's look at the board and tell me, is that correct?
No.
No. What should I change?
Just flip them, flip the 5 and the 2, making 5A and B2.
Thank you. Because 5 has to be, because A has to be more than B. So we're looking for something in the form of 2 plus or minus, we're not sure, 5 sine theta. Do we have something like that? Looks like A is the option for us. I think we have 3 questions left. All right, 28 will not be on the test. It's a spiral, but not on the test, which means don't worry about that. (29) is a dimpled limison. I don't know if you can see it clearly. This is 5. This is -1. Let me construct R equal B. Well, clearly this is plus A cosine of theta. We know B has to be bigger than A. And the sum of the numbers has to be 5. And the difference has to be -1. What numbers can I choose?
2 and 3.
2 and 3? How about B? That correct answer?
No.
No. Which one should I choose?
A.
A.
Very good. Thank you so much. Yep. Because B has to be more than A. A is the option. Thank you. And I think number 30 is last question. I'm going to look at this beautiful shape, another shape which I absolutely adore. It's a graph of infinity. It's cosine. Amanda, what do you think? What's the answer here?
Sorry, what?
What's the answer in this case? It's a lemniscate or graph of infinity. It has to be cosine. Which one would you choose?
I'm guessing A, but I'm not sure.
No, perfect. It is A. It's exactly in the form of R squared equal A squared cosine of 2 theta. And that is it. I'm going to stop recording now.